Hello everybody, in this section of ERP lecture 5 we will discuss change management and we will do a little bit of the conclusion part on ERP what we are talking about. So, as I was discussing in the previous section also change management. So, it is all about it is a big thing because everything goes for a change, major change happens when we do an ERP implementation because it is a major program, restructuring program. Business process gets changed, the whole organization gets actually transformed. So, it is a transformational exercise, not just a implementing a software, it is any software because the entire business, it works across the business, across all functions. So, that is why this is something not like any other simple software which you implement. Maybe a sales related software, HR related software or a payroll related software or a finance related software or your stores purchase related software. Those were individual softwares and they had impact on primarily on that individual function or that few limited functions. But this is one software you are implementing which is impacting every process of your organization. So, it is a major transformation which is happening across the organization. So, and all kinds of people are there, employees starting from the security watchman for example. I mean he has to do an SAP transaction because when he does a goods receipt he is doing a very important transaction. When a material comes in a truck supplied by a vendor, he is the first person who sees the challan, delivery challan, and then he puts in all those critical numbers like the quantity, name of the material, and it has to be accurate. It is online real time, so he cannot do a mistake. I mean he cannot like say talk to a phone and do this and casually and instead of 50 he writes 70. And that is real time thing and that is impacting the entire company valuation. Instead of 50, 70 he types 70, as if 70 material has come in, but 50 is physically come. So, this it is a role which is being played by a security man and he may not be educated enough, he may not be a graduate for example. So, this type of people also will be handling SAP software. So, that is a change management thing which comes in a big way. So, research and experience consistently indicates the same factors influence the failures or success of ERP transformation initiatives. So, there are change barriers and there are success factors and you can rank them percentage of companies encountering the barriers. So, this is from a lot of ERP programs actually have failed, there are many failure stories, horror stories also because of all these problems and difficulties, and that is why we are discussing this in this in this course because it is such an important aspect of a business enterprise environment. So, change skills, if you see it is 42% here. Communication 34%. So, these are some of the major elements which I have highlighted because to make a project success you have to communicate. As a project manager you have to talk to everybody, make them aware what is happening, give them knowledge, share things so that everybody is aware of what is required, etc., etc. And whenever this person is working, he should not waste time finding for something, knowledge or information. It should be available to him. That is what communication is all about. So, I do not have to waste time. So, things are available. Wherever I know where to go and search and I will get it. So, time is of essence here. So, there are various other issues also we can discuss one by one, it will take time. But these are the two major things, change skills and communication, and this change skill is what we will be discussing in this section. And if you see the success factors, ensuring top sponsorship, quality communications and focusing on cultural skill and change, that is 62% here, it is not bad, quite pretty high. Top sponsorship of course gets the highest, is 82%. So, majority of these reasons are related to people around. So, you see ultimately it is coming down to people and the organizational challenges. So, people is a very important element of the success, behind the success of this entire program, and people means the change management. Sometimes working with people is very difficult. You can change a business process, you can change a machine, you can change a technology, no problem, just a question of money, cost. But when you are trying to change a person's way of working, it is not money, but it is very difficult to convince him, and he has to get convinced why I am doing that, etc. So, people, process and technology need to integrate well for successful ERP implementation, that is the theme. So, people, process, technology, they need to integrate well for successful. You need all three. You need of course the technology, you need the process, and then finally initially I said it is people. So, it is process, technology, people. I see they realize Finally, unless these three gel together, you won't realize the benefits for the organization. Your ultimate target or goal of doing this investment of ERP software is for the organization to get some benefit. For the, it has to, after all, it has to stand in competition, stand in the market, it has to make profits. Then only it will become successful. You can hire more people, etc., etc. So we know that. Now, to achieve that, this is what we need: the process technology people integration. And this just diagrammatically shows those integration networks. Not much to discuss there. The typical reasons people resist change. This is very important. You need to understand. What are the major factors which people are consider when they resist change? First one is whether my job will remain. So when any computerization happens, that's the first fear which comes into the employees, that whether there will be retrenchment, people will be reduced, because you need with computerization you probably need less people to do the same work. But you can think it in another way, we can explain them, but we can have the same people and we expect that they will be doing more work. So instead of same work done by lesser people, it could be the same people doing bigger work, larger amount. So which is good for the company. So if the company wants to grow, so I need the same people, not add more people, but the same people. Can I grow my business to make it double, for example? Because I am investing in technology, software. So I am investing money somewhere, spending money. So I will not spend more money on people, but by then business needs to grow. So that is the answer. But this concern is what people have. What is in it for me here? What is in it for me? Why I should change? Why I should put so much effort to learn and implement? Some common things, troubling points come, individuals think about it. And you have to, as a manager, you have to answer that. You have to explain to them. What do you mean? It's your development. The company needs it, you need it, you will grow, you will understand, you learn more, something new thing. So everybody wants to learn new thing. Or do you want to do the same work year after year? Isn't it very boring and dull? You are doing the same transaction year after year. But now you are going to learn a new software, for example, a software which is very advanced and well known all over the world, international. And you will be part of it. So you should feel proud. Can I cope up with new technology? That's a fear. Can I learn the software? Learn means how to use it. You don't need to learn how to program it, but basically how to use it. So that is what the questions come, and that's the answers what you need to give. After the project is over, whether my new skill will be valued, which I need to learn with so much effort. This is a core team, the people who implemented the project. You take out people from your company's role, from each department, and put them in this project implementation full time, because it needs full time support. They will work with the consultant for that period of 1 year to implement, plus then train the people, etc. Now these people will think that after that 1 year is over, project is implemented, then what happens? Can I go back to my department? Because when I was not there, this 1 year, the department was running. So they could manage. Either they got a replacement or their same team could manage. So where is my role? Where do I go back to? So that is a question they will ask, the core team. Do I need to go back to my old place after the project? What will I do there? Same thing, the core team. What will I do there? If I go back, my job, whatever I was doing is being done by somebody else. So what do I do now? Whether I will be able to operate the new system. If not, then what will happen? What will be my new role? Will it be more work? And here again, what will happen, the question comes is, if I do a mistake, what will happen? Since this is a real-time system, that's one of the major bugging points. Like I keep telling, if I hit enter a wrong button, etc., the whole company comes to know that I have done a mistake, because I have logged in with my particular user ID. So I am identified for every transaction, we will know who has done that transaction. So my management will know that I have done a mistake. So people become afraid of that. Obviously, if I am caught that I have done a mistake and it's aware, my bosses know, everybody knows, so I will be penalized. So blueprint reference framework, change management. This is a slide I don't want to explain in details, but this just shows how it's a complex project management stuff which goes on, and there are a lot of activities which are happening. The blueprint phase we have discussed is the design phase, when you are designing. So many activities happen which you don't need to really go through, but you can just understand, go through it and see, well, so many things have to be done. Now if you see that one which is blocked in red, the red rectangle here, this is what? The change management value realization. The change management value realization, if you see in the blueprint, it's talking about stakeholder management and communication, change impact analysis, training strategy and curriculum design. So what it means that you have to talk to your stakeholder management and find out what are the various change impact, and you have to do an analysis. So, because of this program, so many things will change. So, what will be the likely impacts? So, once you have done that analysis, then you have to design a training strategy and curriculum. So, you need to now train, because the solution to change management, to explain to people, etc., make them knowledgeable, accept the change, new technology, etc., is training. It's communication and training. So, you have to keep communicating, giving them information, making them relax, not to get worried, and at the same time training is required, because they have to actually do that work in the new software. So, training is very important. So, training is the major part for change management. So, here during the project preparation phase, for example, here you talk about identify impacted stakeholders. So, you have to identify which are the people roles which are getting majorly impacted, and then develop leadership and sponsorship plan. That is, you have to develop a plan for these people who are getting impacted. So, what to do with them, whether we can give them new role, retrain them in some other activities, etc., etc., or transfer them to some other department. So, these are all part of the change management and value realization domain, which is across the horizontal we have done. This is apart from business process transformation, enterprise architecture framework, etc. These are all part of the overall project plan, but we will not discuss. Today's discussion here is restricted to change management. So, driving successful business transformation in ERP project requires focus on 6 key focus areas. There are 6 focus areas which you need to know that the success of business transformation. Value realization, of course, a detailed value case that becomes a living document and process to measure, hold accountable for the delivery value. Fine, because you have to tell the customer actually during your sales stage itself, evaluation, that if you invest so much money, this is the value you will get. This is your return on investment, these are the benefits, etc., etc. Business process improvement, a targeted approach to leverage ERP embedded best practice. We have already discussed this many times. So, all the best practice will come to you automatically if you do this. Organizational redesign, structure and business model, because the organization is redesigned. So, we want to do that because we want to do we get a new company structure. So, do not put an old wine. If you keep your existing processes intact and do not want to change, this basically you are retaining old wine, putting it in a new bottle, but only that now you have, it's an expensive bottle, because doing this SAP project is money, it's a lot of money. The others are change management, which we are discussing, the executive alignment and governance, very important, because everybody needs to be aligned and have the ownership has to be defined as who will be owning the whole thing, program, etc., of the transformation, and to enable sustainable leadership, action planning and accelerated decision making. This is very important. The decision making has to be accelerated very fast, because if it slows down, if the marketing manager has to take a decision, he is traveling, he is not available, etc., the overall things gets delayed, because since everything is integrated, even if one area function is delaying things, everybody gets delayed, because it is impacting everybody. So, knowledge transfer and end user training, again I am repeatedly saying, it is very important. It is a vehicle to enable users to perform their process roles with the new systems environment. So, for people to successfully work in this new environment, you need to have knowledge transfer and the training, through training, end user training. Large scale transformation programs often do not succeed. What are the major reasons of failure? Why do sometimes such expensive programs fail? You need to know this so that you are aware of these are the potential pitfalls, the mistakes which you need to avoid as a project manager. So, there are 4 categories: people issues, employee resistance, lack of middle and senior management support, insufficient change management skills, cynicism, that people are cynical, doubtful, will this work? I mean, they are talking big things, the consultants, they are selling this product, but will it really deliver, etc. The others I have more or less discussed many times, so I do not want to repeat for the sake of time. Project management issues, competing resource priorities. As I said earlier, that if there are multiple programs running in their organization, so that same people will, for sometimes they are working on ERP, sometimes they are doing some other quality program, or maybe a TQM project is going on. So, the same, and the good people are rare. So, every department has got few people who are good and everybody wants them. So, the TQM people will call them, or this will them, or there is a HR program, they will want them. So, the same resources will be pulled in various directions. Long implementation time, that is another problem. Project management is long time. initiative fatigue. So, sometimes you get a fatigue if you have this long time and dragging, and there is a initiative, too many initiatives are taking place, then there is something called initiative fatigue. So, you should be conscious management that we should do only one program at a time, the complex programs. Small programs fine, but complex program should be limited. Lack of momentum, yes, important, otherwise the project there will be slack, it will get delayed, which is very risky. Communication or perception issues, no perceived need for change. That is, people don't see that value. Why should we change? What will happen? So, that value has to be shown. That is again through communication. That look, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, if we do this, these are the benefits you are likely to get. So, that has to be communicated, because otherwise people will not realize, they will not understand. Insufficient or ineffective communication, and lack of clarity of objectives and visions. So, these are all communication related issues, very important, very important skill element I would say of a project manager is communication. So, he is actually 90% of his time, a project manager is communicating. He has to communicate to various people, to his team member, to the core team members from the client, to his other stakeholders, to the business leadership, all the CEOs, CFOs, they are looking forward to getting information every time, what is happening on that project, so much money is going, to the vendors, to the suppliers, to his own senior leadership in his company, his bosses, because they need to also monitor progress. Then you might have to interact with the government agencies, the legal team, commercial team, the purchase team who had placed the purchase order, so you have to get payments, etc. So, you will be really 90% of your time will go in communication, communicating with various type of all stakeholders. So, that is one major skill, both written and spoken communication, very important for ERP project managers. For that matter, for any project manager, any project management, communication is an extremely important skill set. Integration issues is presence of functional boundaries, like it is integrated software, it cuts across functional departments. So, if you have build walls, or some people try to forcibly build a wall, then that is a problem. So, that is one of the major causes of failures, and they refuse to divulge information. For it, they do not want to give data, because they are afraid, if I give my data will be known to everybody, I will be exposed, and then maybe we have done something wrong earlier, we had kept it suppressed. So, those things will come out, then I will be penalized, etc., etc. So, these functional boundaries need to be broken, otherwise the project will not move. Working across geographic boundaries, sometimes multinationals, especially they are working across multiple countries, like an American, say Coca-Cola has got business all over the world. So, it is Coca-Cola India, Coca-Cola China, Coca-Cola France, Coca-Cola Europe, Coca-Cola Germany, and they have to work, because they are implementing the same software project across all the countries. And lack of coordination across change initiatives. So, again it is a coordination issue, because there are multiple change initiatives happening. So, things has to be coordinated. If they do not, then that will impact the project, your main project. So, overall these are the things which you need to keep in mind, and these are the potential dangers, not that they happen always, depending on the organization, depending on the culture, and depending on the top management, the CEO, what sort of message he has given, that because the CEO, if you communicate that this project is very important for the survival of the organization. For example, he communicates in that manner, that today in this competitive world, we have to implement this project, otherwise we will not be able to survive. The company might have to be closed down, we might have to go out of business, things like that, and these are very real realities, stark reality in this today's world. So, when such sort of communication comes from the CEO, then employees give it a very different perspective. They realize, yes, must be some serious problem there, and which we do not understand. Of course, everybody cannot understand all these business issues, complicated issues, dynamics, etc., the economic situation of the country, economic situation of the world, inflation, competition from China or whatever. So many things can kill a business. So, we need to become more efficient, we need to become more productive, we need to become more smart, we need to be more transparent, we need to be integrated. So many things are required, because information flow has to be very smooth and fast and across the board, and things need to move very fast. So, then people also think, yes, fine, then we will have to, then every participation, once such messages go from the top, which is very important, then your level of participation, the quality of participation will drastically improve, and that is what you need to make such complex projects get implemented successfully. So, it is extremely important for achieving those sort of successes in this program. So, for each of these items you should go through, and they may not seem very obvious, but actually there are these are very serious issues. And employee resistance, for example, it is a very serious issue and difficult to solve. Cynicism, competing resource priorities, etc. Change management is an integral component. So, we are coming back to change because again everything has to be handled through change management. So, if you see on top, I put the organizational timeline, change management implementation timeline. It starts with you have to mobilize an awareness, then you have to do the change impact, change readiness, and of course training. That is where you try to solve the change management issue, and then support and go live. So, after go live also you have to give a lot of support. Now, what are the elements there? Document organization and role change impacts. So, you have to document that. What is the organization and role changes? What are the changes going to happen? So, people need to know. So, after this, these will be changing. The organization structure will change, management roles will change, my role will change. So, these are the new roles, these existing roles. So, he will be able to map. So, this is currently my role, this is my change role. So, he needs to understand that. That's the beginning part of it. Implement organization assessments. You can do an organizational assessment, culture, resistance, etc., and then explain it to the people. Like, this is the organization culture, this is the organization resistance, etc., because you have come from outside, you are a consultant, and you have experience of doing this in various organizations. So, they will listen to you because they know that you are coming with more knowledge than they have, and you have also knowledge of multiple other clients and customers, and your organization has a lot of information about other even global clients and customers. So, you are bringing in a lot of global or international experience and sharing it with them. Mitigation plan for change readiness risk. So, what is the change readiness? What are the risks involved? That when we have this change, as I said, everything is a risk, and for every risk you need to have a mitigation plan. So, if this happens that people are not ready for change, what is my mitigation plan? How do I handle the situation? Then roll out a communication plan, that this is the way we are going to communicate with you. So, we will maybe sending you a weekly newsletter, for example. So, every week you will get a newsletter in your desktop or in your mailbox, which will tell you what has been the progress so far, last week, the previous week in this project, and what are the new things which are going to happen, likely to happen in the following week. So, getting a communication is very important, and so you have to send them a plan. So, this is how we are going to communicate. Maybe any important announcements, we will immediately send a mail to everybody. So, people will know that yes, we will be getting information. So, we will not be kept in the dark. So, that is another fear when such software projects are implemented. See, when you do a physical project like building a building or making a bridge or installing machines, you can physically see things are happening. The shop floor is ready, the electrical connections have been made, the machine has come, it is being civil grouting, etc. work, its foundation work is going on, the electrical connections are made, etc., etc. But in a software project, what happens? You do not see anything, because everything is happening in a computer and a server, and physically you do not see anything. So, unless you are told or communicated, you do not see any progress, and that is the problem. So, that is what you need to realize as a project manager, is that this is a serious problem. That is why communication is so important, because nobody is seeing anything. If I am building a building, I can see the building is coming up. First floor, ground floor, first floor, second floor, the doors are getting implemented, it is getting painted, etc., etc. Air conditioning is fixed. So, every time I walk and there I can see some change. But here, what do you see? You do not see anything. So, you see just some people, they are looking at the screen and doing something. But what is happening inside, you do not know. So, that has to be communicated. Execute stakeholder engagement. So, everybody's stakeholder engagement, that is what you need to, because as a project manager, as I told you, you have got many stakeholders from the company, senior leadership, your team member, your vendors, your project team members, your end users, they are all your stakeholders, and everybody is looking towards you. So, you have to execute that stakeholder engagement part. So, how you want to engage each of those elements in your program. So, you have to execute that, you have to tell them. So, this is your role, this is the time I need you, you will have to come attend a meeting and give your decision. For example, we will give you a presentation and you have to give your decision by this time. So, everything is fixed time wise, there is a plan. You can't say yes, okay, I have seen it, but I will come back maybe 1 week, 2 weeks later. Sorry, we do not have time, because unless you give the decision, my entire team gets stranded. They are not able to do anything without your decision. We can't move. Help identifying super users as internal change drivers. So, this is another important thing. From within the organization, you identify people who are smart people, the good ones, who have knowledge and they can be trained in SAP, etc. easily. They will pick up the things. And they can then become your ambassadors for future, the internal change drivers. So, they will then talk, they will learn from you, learn the SAP, what is happening over the project, and then they will go back to the department and talk to people. And the employees will, they will accept more something from their own colleague rather than something from maybe spoken by an outsider, a consultant, because they may not trust the consultant, because the consultant may be telling a lot of big things. But when your own colleague says, no, I went there, I studied that, I saw that, then I read something and they gave me a lot of information, I am convinced, yes, no, this will happen, etc., etc., that will be more acceptable to people. So, it is very important to have such band of internal change drivers. We also call them super users, because they are more knowledgeable than a regular user. So, that is why you call it super user, but you can also call them as change drivers, internal change drivers. Change agents, we also call them, another name is change agents. So, they actually go and finally do that real change part. Training. Design training strategy and curriculum of all for all stakeholders. So, that I have talked earlier also. So, it's that is one of the thing which you do in practice for change management. The first last thing, most important thing you do is actually deliver that training, because without training, without knowledge, the change will not happen. So, change management for ERP transformation, to summarize, there are two things: focus on strategic execution and focus on the people part. So, one is the strategy part, one is the people dimension. So, what is the strategic execution? It involves program strategy management, program leadership and governance, and organization design. So, at the center core is the value realization, because end of the day you want to, the company needs to get some value out of it through all these changes. So, the strategic level, what is happening, there is a program strategy and management, the whole program strategy management has to work out. The program leadership and governance. So, the leadership and the governance structure, how they will manage once the project is over. So, that has to be designed properly. So, these are your leadership team, because there might be some changes of role, and this is what will be the governance plan. This is how you want to administer. These are the levels you will have, the organization structure, etc., because everything will change from the old to the new. That is the organization design. So, you will design the organization structure afresh. So, roles will change. So, that is one thing which is on the focusing on the strategic part. Now, the people part, which I have also was mostly talking about earlier in earlier slides, you have a cultural transformation, skills and knowledge. So, they will need to be trained, that is training what I was talking about, training and communication. So, skills will change, and of course, through knowledge. So, they will have to acquire new knowledge. Stakeholder engagement and communication. So, I have also told about this earlier. It's so important thing, this communication part, engaging them. So, because they do not see anything physically, the change, that is very important. You have to engage them, you have to often show them some demonstration. Otherwise, how do they see? So, have some presentation session. See, your purchase order form will look like this. See, your invoice generation will look like this. See, the MRP, material requirement planning, the planning guy, the production guy, you will do an MRP planning and see what happens. This is how the bill of material get explodes. So, tell them in between, show them whatever you have developed, little bit of, we call proof of concept. So, show them, demonstrate them, see, this is my proof of concept, POC, this is how it will look like, and there also you can take feedback. If they approve, not approve, or they want some change, so give them the chance to react with you, interact with you. So, that will increase the engagement part. So, if I call some people here at that planning department and show them on the screen, this is how the MRP run is going to take place, and then take their feedback, then they will feel engaged, see they are being given importance, because they know, of course, we know our job best, you don't know anything, you are an outsider, what do you know about our planning? How do we plan the manufacturing of a battery, for example? Obviously, you are the experts, you are the guys, so you tell us, whatever we have designed in jointly with from your representative, is it okay, is it good enough, or you want to do some changes? So that is how you build in that engagement by involving them. So engagement comes through involvement, and of course communication, because you are talking to them, you are interacting with them, they are seeing that, they are giving the feedback. So involvement and communication are really very important to have them engaged. So that is your job as a project manager, to do that or get that done. So skills and knowledge and the cultural part, of course, yes, because the change, any change means it's a cultural change. The organization, the way it was working and the way it will work is different. So you need to have a cultural change. Communicate to encourage commitment to change. So with time, how it moves, the change acceptance curve, we say it is initially it's awareness, then it goes to understanding, then acceptance, and finally is the commitment. That's the final thing which you are targeting. So from all the employees, that guys, you need to show your commitment to the product, new product, and change. So it starts awareness, the information, etc., etc. Engagement part starts, then understanding. That is when the engagement happens, and after that, when they get engaged, then they accept. When they see the benefit, advantage, new thing, etc., the acceptance comes, and finally, of course, is the commitment. When they actually say yes, okay, fine, we accept. So stakeholder engagement. What is a stakeholder engagement? A strategic, intentional, and systematic process to identifying and managing key stakeholders in order to build support and commitment to the change. This is the definition, but what I have explained is that you have to get them involved. When you engage, so involve them in everything, bring them to over, talk to them over a cup of tea or etc., etc. Take their opinion. That is very important. When you take their opinion, respect their opinion, and they see that their opinion has been accepted, their idea has been accepted, that is not the best way, the easiest way to get people engaged. So who are stakeholders? That's the definition. Again, all individuals or groups of individuals, internal or external, who will be impacted by the change. So anybody getting impacted by this change or this new program, project, etc. happening is a stakeholder. And who are the key stakeholders? Those stakeholders who have the ability to impact or influence the change, the decision makers. So they are the key stakeholders, the CFO, the CEO, the chief of production, the chief of marketing, all the heads of the business departments, and they are the key stakeholders because they have the ability to impact or influence the change. They can take decisions, or they can either help you, or they can maybe also not help you. You have to be very, very careful, because if they put a block, then your project will get impacted. So you will not be able to move in time, because the CFO, for example, is crucial. I mean, his sign off is required at every stage. So conclusion: ERP software can be an expensive and time consuming IT investment. Implementing an ERP software is full of risks from a project management perspective. ERP applications facilitate the standardization and acceleration of business processes and contribute to the visibility necessary to run businesses well and grow revenue and profits. ERP applications form the information backbone of a business. And finally, please note, ERP implementation is not an IT program but a business program, because all the time I have been talking last so many minutes is business, business, business. I never talk IT, IT, IT. So that is one, never consider this, although it's a software we are implementing finally, but it's a transforming software, it transforms the business, and its whole thing is for the business. And it has got such a major impact all across the functionalities. That is why we call it it's a business program and not IT program. Think from the business angle, always business, 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 not IT, IT, IT. Because when you think like an IT person, then it becomes a bit narrow. Think of the entire business. Even if you are an IT person, you are an IT manager, doesn't matter. But think yourself to be a part of the overall business program. So that is very important. So all the concluding, whatever these comments, etc. I mean, we have all talked about it, understandable. So please concentrate on that, go through the book, the reference books, you will learn more about that from the books. Thank you.